Hi guys, Michael here from the Michael Clopton channel, where we talk about practical financial information for real people in a real world. If this is the first time you've stopped by on the channel, then welcome. I'm glad you clicked in. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, as well as the like button, so that YouTube's algorithm can send this video across more formats here on YouTube. Thank you very much for that. Now, if you do not already know, today we're talking about where credit card rewards come from. Who pays for them? So you might want to get yourself a glass of chamomile tea, perhaps some coffee, or you might want to get something stronger. And stay to the end, and we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can win with credit card rewards. Just ahead. In the Great Recession around 2008, the big banks were having difficulty making profit in the ways that they had before. And what they were doing was doing mortgages and corporate loans. And the reason they were having trouble, one, was because the Great Recession of 2008-ish was a housing market crash, and corporations were holding on to their cash during this time as well. So banks had a really hard time making a profit or making increase for the bank. So they decided to turn their focus to the consumer. And in so doing with the consumer, how they did that was they created a credit card. And the incentive to get you to use their credit card, which is essentially a loan, as we've talked about many times on this channel, was to give you 0% interest for so many months, bonus points for travel, cash back, and also sign-on bonuses were some of the incentives that the banks would use. But remember, the banks did this because they were looking for ways to increase their profit line, their margin of profit. So remember, the banks always do their actions based on making more money. Now, if you've been on this channel before and you watched my video that said credit cards are not the problem, then you have heard this. Here's something that you need to know, and don't forget it. Banks always win. Banks always win. They are in a business to win. So just remember, I don't care what you're doing with the bank is going to win. You do not win against the bank because the game is set up in the favor of the bank. Nowadays, as I'm sure you too, I am getting inundated with offers in the mail from different banks. And since 2018, did you know 92% of all credit card purchases were purchased on reward cards? So that became big business for the bank. So they continue to do that right now. So you get all kind of rewards, and you need to be sure and read the small print because they're really pushing certain incentives out there. Like for instance, you'll have a card that said there's 0 interest. Well, that's 0 interest for a certain amount of period of time. So let's say it's 18 months. After 18 months, what happens with the card? Like one of my biggest card loans that I have actually is from Chase, and I got it way back when I was trying to get out of all of my negative or consumer debt, which I did, by the way, because it offered for 18 months 0% interest. So I just pushed all of my credit cards onto that particular thing and paid it off and avoided the outlandish interest that banks charge on those things for 18 months, and I paid it off. But now the credit card really has no incentive to use it because there's no particular points. Now they have answered that a little bit, and that's by offering me 10% or 5% back at particular places each month. So almost like a category, but you have to use it at those specific places. So it makes it, you know, a little less enticing to use, but the eventual offer up front was great. So you got to think about that in a credit card. Also, Chase has one, and so does Discover, where they're offering you a 5% cash back within the first year. But if you read the fine print, it's up to a certain point. So there's so many different things out there to look at, so many offers that are being offered. It really is hard to know which one to get. But the thing of it is, you want to get something that's going to return some money to you, and that's going to do it over the long haul or the life of you have of that credit card or that loan from the bank. Let me explain how this thing works for you in a nutshell. And I'm going to do this with my first animation. So here it comes.
Everyone meet John. John's a pretty good guy. He works hard, and lately he's been giving a lot of thought to applying for a credit card that offers rewards. Instead of applying online, he's going straight to his bank. John jumps in his car and off to his local branch bank, where he goes inside and applies for a credit card. And yes, he is approved for a 3% cash back on all he purchases. As he drives away, he sees the bakery and remembers, oh, I got to get a birthday cake. And he goes in and uses his new card. And this is where it gets interesting. When the merchant accepts John's new card, it doesn't go directly to the bank. It goes through a middleman known as a credit card processing company, which charges the merchant a fee for using his service. The processing company takes the fees that he charged the bakery, and a large portion of it goes back to the bank where John's credit card was issued in the first place. John's credit card issuing bank takes the fees that it has collected from the credit card processing guy, the middle guy, and gives those fees back to John in the form of his rewards, which in this case is 3% of everything that he purchased. So the credit card processing company makes money by charging the bakery what the bank charges him, plus other fees that he keeps as profit. The bank issuing John's credit card makes money from the credit card processing company and other fees like over the limit, late fees, and unused points and rewards. With all these people and all these charges, how can the bakery afford all those fees and stay in business? Remember that birthday cake John bought with his rewards credit card? Well, for that bakery to stay in business, it needs $20 to pay for the ingredients, pay its employees, and its overhead for the cake it made for John. Like John, many people choose to use a credit card with rewards. So that the company can stay in business, the bakery added on those charges that the processing company charged them to the total cost of the cake. So in the end, who really paid for the credit card rewards? Yes, you guessed it. 9 out of 10 times, John did.
You ready for that drink yet? I think we're gonna need this. And remember to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and that little notification bell so that this video can get in front of more people right here on YouTube. Thank you. So in our little animation today with John, you see how this whole process goes and how this whole process works. So the bakery paid something called an interchange fee. That's the fee that he's paying that middleman. And that interchange fee is actually what's extended onto the bank. That's the fee that the bank gets. And the processing company actually charges fees in different places so that they're profitable as well. So the bakery has to pay all of those fees to the processor, and the processor takes the interchange fees and give it back to the bank. And that's the sweet spot for the bank, because that's what the bank uses to give you your rewards and your points. So how much the business has to pay depends on the credit card, because not every credit card is the same. Some credit cards are giving you a 1.5 cash back up to a 5% cash back. So those are limited and capped, but generally you find these credit cards between 1.5 and 3% that the business is having to pay. So this is how the bank makes the money to pay you back your rewards that they've promised to give you, as well as they charge an insane high interest rate, which they make profit on as well. And if there's any differences in the fees, it comes from that, as well as when you're past due or late fees that are on there. And there may be even annual fees if you have a card that has annual fees. And since 43% of Americans tend to not pay off their credit card every month but let some roll over, you can see the bank has got the racket. The bank has got the game, because people are charging more on their credit card than they should. And remember, credit cards are not the problem. Your behavior is the problem. In 2017, retailers that, like the bakery, paid over $43 billion to the banks in those interchange fees that I was telling you about. Now, in reaction to this, the retailers like that bakery have 9 out of 10 times increased their retail sales price in order to cover that. So that 1.5% to 3%, they've actually added that on, like in our example, to the price of the cake that John had to pay in the animation that we saw earlier. So they are adding that price on so that they can stay in business. And somebody says, well, I got that, I'll just pay cash. That is really a bad idea. As I've said many times on this channel, that this monetary system is becoming so digital that cash is not king anymore. Being out of negative debt is king at this point. Now, there are a few places I've come across, let's say, there's a gas station, convenience store gas station in my town where I live that it has 2 prices, meaning that if I pay a credit card, it's one price, but if I pay cash, then I get it cheaper. Those are rare situations. Those are very few and far between. Because if you're using cash to pay for whatever it is that you're buying, even your debit card, if you're using your debit card or you're using a credit card that doesn't give you rewards back, then you're paying for everybody else's rewards. So I would like to thank you very much for paying for my rewards. So since the system is set up this way, yes, a credit card with rewards is the way that you need to go, even over cash and even over debit, unless that retailer specifically states that you're going to get that cheaper for using cash or your debit card. So that is just a given in the way that the digital society is set up, that you need the rewards card. If you don't use a rewards card, then you're just throwing money away. Not only are you leaving that money on the table, you're leaving that money on the table for someone else. You're paying for my rewards. You're paying for somebody else's rewards. And your friends on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram that are posting those little pictures that they went on cruises or to other countries on their rewards or with their cashback rewards, you helped pay for that because you're paying cash and with a debit card. See, the banks always win. They got this figured out. It's their game. There's only one way for you to win in this cashback and point system. The bank is going to win bigger, but there's only one specific path where you're going to win at this system. And here's how it goes. Number 1, get rid of all your negative debt. I've been preaching this on the channel pretty much since I started, but you need to get rid of your negative debt. Again, for those who are new, what is a negative debt? It's a debt that's not paying you money to have it. So a car loan does not pay you money to have it unless it's connected somehow with your business and you get tax deductions because of that. Then it's not paying you to have that debt. Also, student loans, also outstanding credit card debt. Get rid of those things, things that are in collections. Get rid of all of that negative debt. You need to clear the path so that you can begin to win, not only in your future financially, but so that you can play the digital game in a way that you come out with advantage, not disadvantage. And number 2 is to get disciplined with your finances. I know you don't like that, and we don't like that in general, but that is the only way you're going to win with money, and that's the only way you're going to win with the credit card reward situation. What do I mean? Get a budget. Know where your money's going. Know what money you have. Know what's going on, and decide, what you want to do. I've been living on a budget even before I paid off all of my negative debt. And the first thing that was a huge surprise to me is how much money I made versus how much money I actually had to spend. And there was a huge discrepancy, meaning that I spent way more money and not knew where it went. So once I got on a budget, I started disciplining how I was spending my money. Then I knew where my money was going. The budget didn't tell me what to do. I told my money what it was going to do. So number 2, you need to get disciplined with your finances. And number 3, put your expenses on your credit card, your rewards credit card, so that the portion of whatever's being charged to you will come back to you as rewards or points. And number 4, be sure and pay off your credit cards each month. That means you're not going to let a balance roll over into the next month. There is 43% of Americans that let these debts go on to the next month, and you're losing. That interest rate that you're being charged on what's left over wipes out any rewards or points that you could ever have on that. So yes, pay them off every single month. Earn the points, avoid the interest, and yes, avoid the annual fee that some of these credit cards have every single year. It's a yearly annual fee. You'll say, yeah, but I get these really great returns that you're paying for big time and likely more than what you're getting. Because remember, the banks always win. They have this set up so that they can win. So there are the 5 ways to win with your points and reward cards. If you enjoyed this video and you got something from the content, please remember to like the video, hit the subscribe button, and that little notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when a new video comes on deck, and you'll help others see this video and help them as well. Thank you for tuning in to the Michael Clopton channel today, and I'll see you on the next episode.